Imagine a standard weekly check-in. The meeting wraps, and one person has just spent the last 20 minutes pitching half-dozen ideas, batting around concepts in real time. Across the table, another team member has sat quietly, taking notes and barely saying a word. Walking back to their desk, the talkative person is frustrated. They interpret their quiet colleague's silence as a sign of disengagement or a lack of team spirit. The quiet colleague is having a different reaction. They view the constant pitching as a sign of being unprepared and scattered, assuming the talkative person is just making noise to fill the silence. This frustration points to a mistranslation in how each person's cognitive engine handles information. To understand this tension, we can look at a specific behavioral trait: social ability. Social ability measures how someone engages with a group, leaving aside factors like charm, friendliness, or shyness. This spectrum tracks a person's processing engine, specifically how much they rely on the company of others to do their best work. Mapping this dynamic as a matter of cognitive energy, not likability, is a necessary pivot for anyone trying to navigate team friction. A person on the high end draws energy from the room. They use live conversation to figure out what they think. Because their processing is external, they tend to move ideas through relationships. They build momentum quickly and act as the human glue holding a team together. Their engine can hit a failure mode, over-processing out loud. They might keep seeking an audience long after a decision is made, or mistake activity in the room for actual progress. This is the engine of momentum. For these individuals, the conversation is the work. On the opposite end, we find a different cognitive engine, one distinct from shyness or social deficiency. The low-end processor requires internal focus. Solitude allows them to think a problem through alone and deliver a finished product. Their strength is a high signal-to-noise ratio, focusing on facts and conciseness. However, they risk going dark, disappearing into the work so long the team loses the thread, or underselling ideas by refusing to work the room. This is the engine of depth. During a brainstorm, their silence is often a sign of active, rigorous thought. A behavioral score is only useful when compared to the demands of a specific role, a concept known as the gap mechanic. When a low social ability thinker is placed in a role requiring constant collaboration, they experience quiet burnout. Managers often mistake this for a lack of competence. Conversely, when a high social ability person is put in an isolated role, they wilt. Without a social recharge, their morale drops. When performance suffers in these cases, the issue is the environmental fit rather than the individual. Returning to that tense meeting, the dynamic changes once both parties share a vocabulary for their processing styles. The out-loud thinker can send questions and pre-reads in advance. This provides the inward thinker the solo time they need to prepare. In return, the inward thinker can provide a brief verbal headline. This gives the out-loud thinker the external momentum they need without forcing a long silence. Identifying these behavioral differences allows a team to convert friction into a complementary partnership. Many standard workplace practices, like open-plan offices and live brainstorming, are biased toward outward processors. This cultural default acts as a tax on inward thinkers, who must expend extra energy just to participate in a basic workday. Managers can act as environment architects by designing workflows that accommodate the inward thinker's depth, rather than forcing them to work around loud defaults. Building an effective team requires harnessing both engines, the persuasive momentum of the high end and the considered depth of the low end, simultaneously.